Are you aware of who's influencing you and influencing your kids? And I'm asking this for a specific reason because there's information out there. I talked about it yesterday within the church pulpits. It's all about Black liberation theology, and it's and if you want to do any bit of research, I really would encourage you to look up a guy named James Cone and then Elijah Wright. You want to know who these people are because from the pulpit, first off, it's spiritual heresy, and then the next is that it changes the sanctification and glorification of Christ into a sanctification and glorification of ethnicity and skin. So you should know that as a Christian, but also too as a person who's just looking at this, wondering how's all this crap basically being pushed upon the broader society. Well, the other part of this. It's kind of the up and down of this. The up was the adults. The the downward trajectory of this is through your kids. There are curriculum out there that you need to know not only are anti-American, but they're also anti-children. Because these ideas, these methods of education, and these means by which people are trying to make our society more equal. What they're doing is they're pushing these ideas into kids in the curriculum, and it's beginning really young. So if you have any, you should really know what your kids are learning, especially if they're learning anything about the entry-level ideas of critical race theory. Excuse me, I got something in my throat. Critical race theory, and then the 1619 Project, New York Times crap, and then maybe even the Lincoln Project. You need to know these things because these institutes, these curricula, I'll give you kind of a basic breakdown of what they actually are. What they are is they are a way to enslave children and the masses to an ideology of guilt, which is why I've never been a fan, never been a proponent of white guilt, of this whole idea of reparations, of black resentment. I've never been a fan of either of these things because I see what they do. Basically, what they do is they make white people responsible for all the ills of society, and they make everybody else a victim of society. So they divide individuals by what they look like and then by their socioeconomic status. And it's all about power. And this is why it's so Marxist. You need to know Marxism and how Marxism is playing into all these ideas. Like I said before, Black liberation theology and the ideas and methodology, religiosity of James Cone was all steeped in Marxism. It's a secular idea, an atheistic idea pushed into the church by a black person who was a heretic. And I'm saying that straight up. He's a freaking heretic. And what he's done to the nation, what he's done to black people has been atrocious. And I don't want to get into what I think about him individually, but he's a heretic, okay? So, but this is also being pushed upon the masses via critical race theory. And again, this is all and this is all for the purposes of dividing the nation. Now, what you want to do, what you can do, even if you don't have kids. I don't have kids. You may not have kids. You may have kids. You need to check up on your friends and family and see what the curriculum actually is and get versed in this stuff, because you're going to have a situation where your kids are going to say something to you at 7, 6 years old, and they're going to talk about you being a racist for what you look like. And they're going to say that, well, I'm a victim. It's going to come out of their mouths because they're going to be being taught this stuff by very unscrupulous individuals in the classroom. You need to know that, because if you don't know it, you'll be taken by surprise. Why do you think so many parents and so many people in our society right now are just taken aback by all these young people who are so angry? Well, they're being taught that anger. They're being taught these things from the classroom. And I'm not saying all teachers are bad. I know there's some teachers out there, especially down, who I'm talking about, down in Louisiana, out there in the East Coast, North Carolina and the like. Here in California, there's some of y'all in other places as well too who are phenomenal teachers. There's also teachers out there that I would never let my kids anywhere near, and there's people that think that they have a ability to speak into kids' lives in a way about their social justice narrative that they hold to themselves. I think it's deplorable. So you need to know this stuff, and I'm just giving you a warning. If you don't know it, then no matter what happens in this election, it will be something that happens to your kids eventually. So you need to think about the long game. The communists, the socialists, the Marxists, they always think about the long game. And we, as the capitalists, maybe conservatives, maybe people who are just mainline. You're just a mainline Democrat. You're a mainline Republican. You're just thinking to yourself like, "There's stuff that's happening right now. This is freaking ridiculous. Like, how do you stop this stuff?" And yeah, I'm voting for Trump, even though I don't like homeboy, whatever. But you need to think about this stuff in the long run, because these people think the long run as well. That's the way communists always works. Khrushchev had a complete idea about what would end up happening to the United States, as he and those who were from communist Russia were going to try to infiltrate the nation from the inside, not from the outside. They had a complete plan. So we just develop our own plan. Develop our own plan in a way to speak into the culture, in a way that talks about what our nation's real history is, not trying to glorify all the things that happen that are bad and just bring those up as the only means to our history, but to really just tell the truth. That's why I talked about Bob Woodson and Thomas Sowell. Even talk about, if you guys can look up this dude named Victor Davis Hanson. This dude freaking, hey, this guy is freaking amazing. And like I told you before, I listened to the Just Thinking podcast, Jordan Peterson, and if you can look up Tammy Bruce. Tammy Bruce actually is an amazing woman. In fact, one of the things that she's done from being a liberal, a recovering liberal, is that she has basically said, "I'm dedicating my life to tell the truth about what was happening behind the scenes in the Now movement, in the women's empower movement, and how they were trying to infiltrate the culture." There's so much that we can learn as people, as Americans, just so we get ourselves educated. But that's the purpose of what I'm even making this video. We can be educated, but we need to know who's educating and influencing ourselves and our kids, from the pulpits, all areas and aspects of our culture that are important, from our city governments, our school districts, to our bosses. If they're teaching critical race theory, if they're teaching black liberation theology, if they're teaching the Marxist ideology as the norm, if they're trying to teach socialism as the norm, you need to understand these people do not have your good at heart. They have something else at heart, which is very selfish, very maniacal, and extremely, extremely elusive. They'll use doublespeak and make you think that they're there for you and for your good, when in reality they're not. So as you look on the couch and you're looking at yourself, you're thinking to yourself, you're saying like, okay, I need to understand what's going on. People who are educated, who take the time. I got a buddy of mine named Frankie. This dude is getting so educated on Marxism right now. It's really helping him out. Oh yeah, Vodi Bachman. Look up Vodi Bachman as a pastor. Vodi Bachman, Vodi, V-O-D-D-I-E. This guy is amazing. Black dude, looks like freaking, he looks like, I don't know, Poseidon or something, Black Poseidon. So just look up these guys that can be real influences for you to help get you educated about what's happening. Because I mean, they got videos, they got podcasts. Just Thinking's always got the podcast. They got the Church of BLM that just came out. Amazing podcast to tell you about the spirituality of BLM. Get educated, because if you're not, folks on that TV are going to educate you and your kids into heresy, into lunacy, into dystopia, and into really hating yourselves. What they want to do is they want to make your kids and you hate yourself via white guilt, black resentment, and then not being content no matter what you look like. Take care of yourselves. Have a great day.